The halo impact of TikTok is super real. So we've had brands that we launched TikTok ads, not even traffic campaigns, really just kind of top of funnel awareness campaigns. And when nothing changed from the time before the test to the time of this TikTok spend test, we would see more traffic to the website. So we do think like it's correlation, not causation, but like we do think that there's something going on.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen. I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Nikki Lindgren, who is the founder and managing partner at Pinnock Digital. Welcome to the podcast, Nikki.
Arlen, so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and I'm super excited to talk to you. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about what your agency is involved in quite a lot these days, which is paid ads and the prevalence of success on TikTok ads, which everybody has seen is really kind of booming. You know, of course, with the forced sale of TikTok and all of that, there's been a lot of back and forth with what's going to happen with TikTok. But from everything that I see, it looks like it's going to be here to stay. So I think brands that are already there and have a presence can kind of breathe, I guess, a sigh of relief to know that, you know, it's still going to be a viable channel now and in the future, which is good to know.
Yes, exactly. We're relieved too. And it's funny because 2025 has been such a interesting year for TikTok. Some of our clients were like, please stop anything we're doing. Like, we just don't want to go there. And other brands were like, how dare you even consider taking your foot off the pedal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that. It's a lot of uneasiness, brands not knowing what to do. But, this conversation came up, they've been talking about this for like over 3 years now. And I when you look at the numbers, the amount of revenue across the board as far as what companies generate from it, ad sales as well, all of that. And it's you just look at that and you just know, okay, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, maybe they won't have the same owner, but somebody is going to take control of it at some point. It's definitely not something that's going to just go away and disappear in the night, so to speak.
Exactly.
Well, Nikki, you've had an interesting story where, of course, you're the managing partner at Pinnock Digital and the founder. I'm just curious, how did you really get there prior to founding the company, and what put you on that path to saying, okay, I want to set up my own shop, my own agency, and what was that whole path like?
Yeah, I mean, I started my career as a very very much a go-getter and a little bit judgy of upper management, right? So I think like as soon as I had my first corporate job, I was in inventory management and product development at different times at Pottery Barn here. They're based in the San Francisco area. Sure. And I don't know. I was just like, I can be a leader. I can do this. So my goal was really to learn enough, transition over to marketing and digital marketing, because I was like, that just seems like a cool, shiny object. It changes all the time. Inventory management is so boring. You just like learn the systems and like pray that you're selected for the promotion. And that just didn't feel as good to me as doing something that was like more cutting edge and changing with time. Right. So very interested in moving into marketing as soon as possible, in-house first. And then after learning enough in-house, I was like, I want to do this on the agency side because I felt like the agency people had so much more expertise and like level of knowledge compared to one little in-house employee. So was really excited to kind of like move in that direction. And I bebopped around between in-house and agency before starting Pennock. Okay. And, so that the whole reason of starting it was like, hey, I had this idea as a young adult. My dad also ran his own business. So I was able to like watch that growing up. And I just felt like it was something I wanted to try and go for. So it started in 2018 as really a consultancy. I had a couple of freelancers who worked alongside me. Okay. And I struggled with freelancers. I know some people love it. Like the gig economy's changed so much since 2018 alone. But I was so nervous to offload my work to freelancers who were sharing work between me and a handful of other brands and clients. I'm like, what's your top rate? Like, can I pay you more than your best paying customer? Because I want to make sure you prioritize me. And so there were just like a lot of nerves in not having full-time staff. So as soon as I got a contract that gave me enough room in my monthly income or my monthly retainer to hire, I started hiring. And that's the way the business has grown. So we're still small boutique in nature. We thought we were going to be like a little bit more general in terms of the types of brands we worked with, but we've really carved a niche for ourselves throughout the years. And surprisingly, it's not a niche that I had experience with prior to starting the agency. It was a niche that came to us as Pennock was formed. And that is beauty. We never worked in, like I'd never worked in the beauty industry before starting Pennock.
So are the majority of your clients in the beauty space?
Yes. And mostly skincare, like not even just like beauty broadly. We're talking about skincare.
Okay. Well, it's definitely an excellent space to be in. I mean, the amount of companies that have achieved just some tremendous success in skincare is incredible. And I just know personally because I follow some of these different brands. I'm a huge Shark Tank fan, so I'm always watching the different pitches, and from everything that I've seen, that the margins on these skincare brands for these cosmetic type products is incredible, because the cost to make is pretty low, and just what you can sell them for is just, it's just incredible. So if you look at these, the huge brands like, Rihanna's Fenty brand. It's just incredible. Every time I look at how the success she's had with that brand, it's really unbelievable how, she really has been able to really explode that brand into it's $1 billion brand at this point. And, it's amazing.
So celebrity and influencer creator-led brands are still really, really popular in beauty. Like, yes. We'll see with all the changes in front of us as tariffs roll out and whatever happens with them. It might change a little bit, but
it could, yes.
For the time being, creator-led brands are doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. You mentioned that your father was an entrepreneur. He had a business. So it kind of seemed like it was, you saw what he was doing. It was in the family. If you don't mind me asking, what type of business did he have?
Well, he had a business in Pennock, Minnesota, which is where I'm from. It's a tiny little town of 400 people. It is the name of the agency now. And he had an auto body shop. He fixed cars, mainly deer accidents, because we were in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, and everyone was hitting deer. So he had, a blue collar job, and he didn't like working for the biggest auto body shop in the area. So he just started his own.
Okay, gotcha. And so the majority, and like you said, in your area, the majority of the repairs were from people hitting deer just in the middle of the night or things like that. Wow, interesting. Yes. Yeah, that's
very
really
different upbringing to where I am now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because you said you're in San Francisco now, and Minnesota. Yeah, that's I'm sure quite a culture shock. I could imagine.
I totally.
Yeah. Well, interesting. So I guess you could see, everything that your father went through as far as, running and managing the business, and you kind of took those things into that spark, I guess, was ignited within you, which is always good. I see that a lot where it's kind of in the family, and family member takes it on. But speaking of spark, today I want to kind of dive into TikTok a little bit. I'm curious, with the brands that you're working with, specifically these beauty skincare brands, what sparked the focus on TikTok as as one of the platforms that you work with your brands on?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of arbitrage on it. However, I think we would have started in TikTok even earlier had we really wanted to have first movers advantage. So really what was happening in the space we're in is, Meta's a mainstay. We're going to be there forever. Google, similar, right? With all the
Yes.
brands we're working on, those are going to be important parts of the business. But especially for our clients who had low price point items, low consideration involved before purchasing, and targeted Gen Z or Gen Alpha, it was just a no-brainer to get them live first on TikTok Shop so that they're getting transactions to occur directly on TikTok platform, but also then leveraging the TikTok ads platform and managing TikTok affiliates for them so that we can get that GMV higher and their overall business portfolio on TikTok to be higher. So you said Spark. So much of what we do there is we run Spark ads that are either, picked up from the brand's organic TikTok presence or, to some extent like whitelisted, I think is a more known industry term from the creators that they're partnering with. So for us, it was just like the natural next place to go. I would say like that's our third biggest platform. So Meta's our biggest, then Google, then Pinterest. Right behind that would be programmatic and Pinterest. I don't know if I said Pinterest earlier, but so we're really kind of enveloping the traditional digital space and then the social digital space. And TikTok just seemed like the next big thing to go after. Though I will say there are some brands we work with where it's not ever a winning formula. Like we've worked with brands that target mature audiences and they're first to market with unique formulations. That's like, it comes out as a powder and then you have to mix it with the right portions of water or liquid product and things like that. It's just like, people really need to consider it. They need to check it out on the website to understand more. They're not ready to buy on TikTok. And so we'll experiment, test out that hypothesis. And as soon as we're like, this is not a winning formula, we will move to a different platform with the budget.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. That was actually going to be my next question as far as, is it right for every type of brand? Hearing what you do and hearing your niche being skincare brands, naturally, it would seem that translates really well to TikTok, it being visual, it being the short clips. And of course, skincare is obviously you can do a kind of a before after type scenario, which is the main thing that I typically see with some of these skincare types of ads, or, you can have somebody do a brief demonstration where they're applying something. And then of course you can kind of see that all within the same video, the before and the after. But you did mention with the brand that required a little bit more demonstration to even put everything together. It wasn't the right fit. Outside of the skincare and cosmetic brands, do you see any other types of businesses where you just say, okay, TikTok is not a fit? So, for anybody listening, I mean, is there certain types of businesses that it would just be a waste of time to even explore TikTok?
Yeah, I think high AOV is one reason maybe not to be, going full steam into getting onto TikTok Shop. So we work a little bit in furniture and home goods. Those kind of brands are usually more considered. You got to get your partner or whomever lives with you involved to make sure they like it too. I would say fashion where sizing is not always clear. So we've got these like emerging brands in the marketplace where it's like, for this particular shoe, take a half size bigger, or for this one, a half size smaller, like things like that. Your return is going to be so high on TikTok because people are just not going to read that. I don't even know if you've got a clear place to display that. So I think fashion brands that have not perfect sizing in all of their SKU assortments, I also would not recommend TikTok. So those would be like the two real corner cases. But for the mass brands that have like products under $100 and it's, a couple colorways or a couple formulations, you're probably pretty good to test out TikTok. And I would say like, then how do you test it, right? So I'd say like, let's get your top 10 SKUs on TikTok Shop. Let's run ads against those top 10 SKUs and like have some benchmarks that are probably close to your meta benchmarks to use as proof of whether or not this works. But minimum buy-in, I would say from an ad spend level, a couple $1,000s, like
Okay.
$2,000 to $5,000 you could probably learn, especially if your AOV is under $100.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably how I would approach it. Though for us, with most of our clients who are going for the first time, it's video view campaigns to start.
Okay.
Let that run for a while, then do some remarketing to the video viewers, pushing them to shop. And that formulation usually works pretty favorably in terms of like proving out CAC or ROAS.
Hey, before we jump into the next question, I want to take a quick second to talk about something that's been a game changer for so many business owners, including myself. That's public speaking. If you're running an e-commerce brand, marketing agency, or any business, your ability to communicate clearly and confidently can really make all the difference. Whether you're pitching to investors, speaking at conferences, or even just creating content that connects with your audience. That's exactly why I created speaktoempower.com, a coaching program designed to help you master public speaking without fear. You can start with my free 10-day course where I walk through essential strategies to overcome nervousness, engage in the audience, and speak with confidence. And if you want to go even deeper, I offer weekly virtual group coaching sessions and one-on-one coaching tailored to your needs. So if you've ever felt like you could be more confident on camera, on stage, or even in day-to-day business conversations, head over to speaktoempower.com and get started for free today. All right, now back to the episode. I see. Now, you're talking about, direct sales on TikTok, using TikTok Shop and the effectiveness for these types of brands, getting direct sales. What about just, let's say you've got there's a brand that has a high average order value or maybe their demographic is an older demographic. Does it work for just brand awareness, not necessarily just sales, direct sales?
Oh, yeah. The halo impact of TikTok is super real. So we've had brands that we launched TikTok ads, not even traffic campaigns, really just kind of top of funnel awareness campaigns. And when nothing changed from the time before the test to the time of this TikTok spend test, we would see more traffic to the website. So we do think like it's correlation, not causation, but like we do think that there's something going on in terms of just building awareness on a new channel or platform where you haven't done it before.
Okay, gotcha. So there is some type of effect there. Even if you're not seeing those direct sales, it can definitely get the word out, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and that's why we usually keep an eye on MER or like total business CAC so that we can just kind of say like, okay, well, we spent this bucket of money on something that we weren't expecting to convert. Having spent that, does your marketing efficiency rate stay the same as it is during other times when every ad dollar is spent against conversion, yes or no?
Okay, gotcha. Now, I know this wouldn't be the case, of course, for all brands, but a lot of brands are starting to see more success on TikTok versus other platforms like Meta or Google. What would you say is that kind of secret sauce, so to speak, with TikTok that gives that advantage, or why some brands are starting to see more success there versus those other platforms?
Well, just like Meta, like TikTok is tweaking their algorithm pretty regularly. So from an organic perspective, like, I'm not the best one to answer that. I think when it comes to like the true ad play on TikTok versus the ads on Meta, oftentimes with emerging brands that are still trying to figure stuff out, like they're kind of replicating the same asset on both platforms, like no tweaks, no anything. It's just like Reels and TikTok asset, right? And so I think like the brands that are doing really well on TikTok are the ones who really stand for something. Like authenticity, I think is like maybe so 2024 at this point, but there is still a level of that matters. So I think people want to see that you stand for something, and brands seem to be a little bit more willing to talk candidly about what that is that they're about over there. It's sort of like the stomping ground to like test stuff out to prove that it works, to then put it to the Googles and the Metas that feel a little bit more professional, so to speak. So I would just encourage people to follow their favorite brands, follow their favorite creators, and get inspiration from them to then figure out how that applies to their own brand. And I think the more looking behind the curtains that one can do with their ad play and organic play on TikTok, the better. I haven't done a TikTok live yet, but I hear like that is something that's been game changer for a lot of our clients is like, we just turned it on and we started doing stuff and people were there. And like, that was sort of their gateway into TikTok, was proving that people would watch their live.
Okay. And with these TikTok lives, like brands that are in your space, like what are they doing? Or is it just more like an extended infomercial type thing, or what exactly are they? What's their focus on these lives?
Yeah. I mean, I think I always like go back to be like, who are the people at the brand side that I'm working with? Like what feels natural and authentic to them. So for some brands, it's sort of like, hey, I'm the director of marketing. I also like spend time on TikTok. So like, let me tour you around the office and show you what I do with my time. Others, it's like people in the factory formulating and like behind the scenes stuff, events like walking the floor of a trade show or a conference if they're there. So it really kind of depends on what you're doing that week, that month, whenever you're trying to do this live, and like what you think will be the most engaging of it. And then, I think like you experiment with a handful of team members and figure out where the team member took the most joy in doing that and the audience responded, right? Like what we find on our social as an agency is people prefer some team members over other team members. And so how do we leverage that?
I see. Yeah, I see. So it does involve a little bit of testing. And I guess as you say, it's not a one size fits all. You can't just pick anyone from your sales team and tell them to get out there and just start selling the product. It's not that easy. You want to try to, I guess from what you're saying, think of something where it's just authentic and something where you can put somebody in front of the camera that, is just going to be genuine, that people can relate to, I guess.
But I would back up because like when I'm like, gosh, there isn't a playbook to follow, I'm like, that's too much work. Yeah. I'm not going to think about it. Like I have to start from scratch, but it's also like not that difficult, right? You just like, what is your sweet spot? Like I worked for a kids subscription box for a while, and we had a stuffed animal that was the mascot of the brand. And anytime someone traveled, they would take that with them and like, take photos of them throughout the world with this product. Like there are ways to have fun with whatever you do within your own team and leverage that to show. So like you don't have to recreate something from scratch. It's just like look within your walls and see what would be exciting and test it.
Yeah, that's very true. There's always a fun spin you can really put on almost anything. You just have to you have to be creative with it, and like you said, test it, see what works and what doesn't. Now, Nikki, I know you've worked with a lot of brands, of course, in the skincare space, and you've seen a lot of successes that your clients have had and just other clients, outside of your company. Can you share a specific example of a brand either that you've worked with or that you're just familiar with in general that's really crushing it on TikTok? And, what was that particular approach that they used that really took off?
Yeah, I think finding that white space again in an example I'll share was like so magical for this particular brand. They're a beauty brand. They've been around and they're color cosmetics. They're not like skincare of like serums and oils and stuff. And they've been around since 2021. So really like deep into the pandemic. And what they found over the years of growing organically to the point of, I think like 50, 100K a month without paid media and without like proper PR is when they partnered with makeup artists and like created a product with a makeup artist, which they could do in their factory environment. That was the thing that kind of created the flywheel and the brand awareness. Gotcha. Okay. So now when they get to TikTok and they build what they're doing there, they're really leveraging those shades or colorways and finding creators, affiliates to work with who are passionate about that colorway. So like a terrible example would be like a goth person liking like black eyeshadow or something, right? So they would look for those, or we would look for those in partnership with them as creators to really talk about this one particular color. And so again, that's just like kind of threading that red thread of like just the continuity of this is a dark shade of eyeshadow. Most people don't respond well to it. Let's find some maybe stereotypical people who would, but
Yeah,
let's like saturate that more so
I
than
see.
just like, educate everybody on why occasionally they should wear black eyeshadow.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. That really makes sense. So just tapping into these influencers or like you said, the celebrity type makeup artists or any makeup artist that has a following of people that could have an interest in that particular, line of
Yeah.
cosmetics and going after them. I
And I
see.
think
And yeah,
like the people who have had brands or have been in business for so long, they're mature adults, I guess we could call them. They have such a hard time thinking like, I have to control everything about the brand. There's no way
yeah,
I can let this creator go off script, not even read my, my details and just talk about my brand. But
yeah,
like PR costs so much. So much of PR these days are affiliate links, right? So like everything's pay to play in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's so hard to retain all of the verbiage of what your brand's about within the
mm-hmm,
brand. So I think
mm-hmm,
breaking down those walls and having comfort with third parties talking about you, creators and whomever, is really,
mm-hmm.
really meaningful. And it's not going to be here that long. Like creators are already kind of starting to dry up and become too saturated. People don't believe them as much. So like we want
Yeah.
to ride the smartest wave of like partnering with creators while it's still an option.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely see that because, like you said, kind of riding the wave. So, do you think at some point that type of creator pushing of these different brands is going to, I don't know, I wouldn't say dry out, but what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to have to feel and hopefully truly be more intentional.
Okay.
Um, Another example is like I worked with a coconut water company. We were just
Hmm.
going after like health nuts and they were like showing their pre and post like drink of coconut water. Cool.
Yeah,
But, everyone and their mom is doing that. So at some
yeah,
point,
for
we're like,
sure.
okay, let's go after mixologists and like show
Hmm.
how you can use coconut water in cocktails. Or like, what is the spin of using coconut water differently than just like workout fanatics, right? So like
Okay.
it doesn't have to be totally like out of the box and super unique, but I think like the more we're just like, well, women like beauty, like show them this amazing eye cream or whatever.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
just there's no substance there.
I see. So it's going to be more about being hyper specific about these partners that you're tying into or partnering with the influencers, the affiliates, not just like you said a broad scope of in that example of the workout fanatics or the trainers and things like that, but just being a specific type under that umbrella. And
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
more creativity. More
yeah.
creativity, really.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one of the things that I see brands, struggling with when it comes to TikTok, especially now, is the creative aspect of it because, for one, there's so many tools that are available now to generate content. Now we have all of the AI tools that can really generate just lifelike personas without anyone ever knowing. You have all of these types of editing tools now that you can put together these short TikTok clips. So it's kind of hard to decide as a brand, what do you do creatively that is going to give you that really high performing ad? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, for high performing ad, it still today, like the low fidelity, lo-fi asset really feels like it's shot from your phone is
Okay.
how TikTok responds best. And that's why some
Right.
people still don't like it for Instagram because it's like too lo-fi really. So I would say
Okay.
that first and foremost. And then I think like anything that truly feels like behind the scenes, like adding unique selling propositions, maybe like straight up answering to camera facing, like an FAQ from your website or something that's coming up in your
Hmm.
customer service log. So like, I guess the point is like the strategy and the ideas already kind of exist. You just need that person on staff or helping you who can kind
Yeah.
of collate everything happening and figure out how to leverage it. So I mean, our rule of thumb is for every $2,000 or $3,000 in spend each month, you need a new asset. So that's kind of how you back into how many creatives you need to have planned at the beginning of the month. And then you probably iterate on a couple of those assets mid-month based on them being strong or weak. We leverage a tool called Motion to kind of track and look at performance creative by creative in real time. And so that will kind of give you the landscape of all of the places you have visual assets showing up. TikTok has carousel now. They have image assets available now. So they're kind of moving more into the Instagram space in terms of capabilities and types of assets. So there should be more opening up, I think, in terms of what will work there in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. And that's what I do see myself just looking at it. The ones that are high performing are, the lo-fi, the videos that look like you said, are shot from someone's iPhone. It's a lot of the user generated content. Some of these brands partnering with customers of theirs, the testimonial type ads or those ads where, it's just the everyday person talking about them using the product.
Right. I would say leverage UGC where you can, but like UGC is not like a theme, in my opinion. A theme is like, I'm going to get out and get ready with me assets from a creator, or I'm going to get before and after from a creator, or whatever it is. But like whenever, that's something that totally makes me cringe. Like whenever someone's like, oh, the content thing we're going to use is UGC. I'm like, that is not a theme. That's like a mechanism to deliver the asset. So just be really clear there.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. You have to still maintain control over it, being the brand owner. And it's you can't just totally relinquish that to these creators. Well, Nikki, as we get ready to wrap things up, I'm always interested to know about, lessons learned from mistakes or missteps made. And I'm sure, you being in the space, there's been a lot of missteps that of course you've made that you've seen other brands make. With regards to TikTok ads, what would you say are some common ones that you've seen brands make or that you guys have made, and what would be some ways to avoid these missteps?
Oh gosh, that could be a whole pod episode just on that alone. I would say like the most obvious ones that come to mind, having done this for now 6 years as a proper agency, are not having clear expectations with the client. So I think for us, media planning, saying like, we're going to launch on TikTok, we're expecting to break even at first, a 1x ROAS. You've got to get the client to know up front what you're committing to in terms of expectations. And then as a partner, it's our job to hit those. So I would say that one pretty obvious, but we want to make sure like they understand the reason for testing, or the brand does. The second one that's even like bigger than just moving to TikTok, and it's just more about like marketing mix and strategy overall, is like, we do not find a ton of value in brands that require like 90% of their 80 or 90% of their revenue to be attributed to ads. That's just a really bad, foundation of a marketing mix. It needs to be a lot lower. And that means like earned and owned media have to have something going on. So I gave that example of a cosmetics brand. We started working together when they were well above 50K in monthly revenue from earned and owned. And I think it's super hard to do, right? Like nothing's free these days. You can't get organic people to buy your product without paying in some way, shape, or form. But I think the brands really make the mistake when they're like, I'm launching a business and I'm going to spend $5,000 a month in ads and we're going to get 20K in revenue. And we're not doing anything else well at all. So the paid ads have to do that. And it's like recipe for disaster. So we've taken some of those on because we're so excited to help them in our past life. And we've just learned so many times that they're not taking the other parts of their marketing stack seriously. It's hard for us to be a good partner for them because we can't solve all their problems as much as we'd like to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't. It's but those are good to know. I mean, it's just all these lessons. You're in your position being an agency. The good thing is that you're learning every time you're dealing with a client, and you're trying different things, and you're seeing what works for certain clients, what doesn't for others, and so I know you're building kind of a repository of things to do and things not to do, which is always a good thing. Well, Nikki, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you coming on. I've learned a ton. And, as we see, TikTok is here to stay as far as we can tell. So it's definitely a viable channel for brands today. But before we do let you go, I always like to shift gears so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Fun fact about myself. Well, going back to my Minnesota days, I was really into snowmobiling. And so when I was probably in my early teens, I imagined growing up to be a professional snowmobile racer. I was that into it. So that was
Awesome.
My childhood dream. And here I am living in a city far away from places to snowmobile.
Okay, really good. Professional snowmobile racer. So actually, is that an Olympic sport?
No, I think that's probably like the X Games, like where I would make money from. Completely questionable.
Okay, gotcha. So it's an X game. I thought I saw that somewhere, but I was like, is that in the Olympics? But yeah, you're right. I think that is an X Games where they do some crazy stuff with those. They do flips and they damn near fly off those things.
I know.
But yeah, fun stuff. Well, thank you for sharing that, Nikki. I appreciate that. Lastly, before we do let you go, if you don't mind sharing the best way for brands to reach you. And I think you have a special offer as well for brands that want to contact you and utilize your services as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to check out what we're doing is our website, pennock.co. That's pennock.co. And I'm just Nikki at pennock.co. So if people want to email, that's an easy way to get in touch. We do like to help emerging brands that are in a good spot grow their business faster. So our offer is for qualified brands, and you can schedule a quick call with me to see if you're qualified. We offer a $10K investment into ad spend for a quarter. So $30K investment from us into your ads. Ideally, we're working with brands that are also investing a little bit during that time too. So we're just increasing the volume of spend. So feel free to reach out and we can have a quick call to see if that's something we can help you with.
Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. That sounds like a great offer for brands that are really looking to, partner with an agency that's going to help them take things to the next level. So definitely encourage people to reach out to you. We'll have the links in the show notes as well as on our website for people to connect with you. And once again, Nikki, it's been awesome talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Arlen.
And thank you.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level, but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.